Today we are exploring the East.
Tokyo is big, really big. However, there's a lot of urban concentration, including some hotspots that are basically always overcrowded. Looking at you, Asakusa and Shibuya. On the other hand, there are places that are also Tokyo but feel completely different because it's so much more quiet. This year, while I'm in Tokyo, I've been making the effort to visit some of those places and document them photographically. And so in today's video, I would like to invite you to join me on a little journey out to the east side of Tokyo, to a lesser known yet beautiful area where I practiced some film photography. When in Tokyo, I live where my mum grew up and my granny still resides, on the west edge of Tokyo in a city called Tachikawa. So naturally, I'm usually hanging out on the west side of Tokyo and rarely go to the east side simply because from Tachikawa, it's really far away. However, on this day, I decided to pack my camera gear, a lunch and head over to the east side solely to explore the area. The place I was heading to is called Shibamata. I didn't really know much about this place at the time. It just popped up on Google Maps as I was researching and it looked like an interesting place. Once I arrived, I was honestly a little surprised. There was significantly more going on than I expected, and this place seemed to be some sort of attraction. The statues caught my eye, but I didn't know what the attraction actually was. At first, I decided to explore the side of the station that appeared quieter and came across a little stand with a granny selling oden, which is sort of a dish of vegetables cooked in a soup, which I actually really like. And so I decided to get an unexpected extra lunch because I couldn't resist getting some of that delicious looking oden. So this was a great unplanned pre-shoot power-up, and now it was finally time to load the camera. I hadn't even put any film in it yet. It was while walking back towards the station that I spotted my first photographs. This is the first shot of the day, and we're starting off very normal, I'd say. Just a typical mediocre photo that I guess I'll have to view as a warm-up shot. I actually mistakenly pressed the shutter too early. My intention was to wait until the cyclist entered the light, but my fingers apparently had other plans. Here's the second shot I took. Again, not really anything remarkable. I still like the idea, but the execution didn't work out. Though I'm having a hard time telling what exactly the issue is. The composition is a bit messy, I guess. I suppose the subject is a bit unclear, so maybe that's the issue? Not sure. Back at the station, it was a bit busier again, and I kept looking for something that could be an interesting shot. Here are two photos that I took there. This one turned out quite okay, I'd say. It's a bit too far away maybe, but I still like the scene and the moments I captured here. I especially like that the dog is looking this way. This shot I think actually turned out pretty decent. I like the scene. It documents the typical Japanese style of shops that completely overload the shop with stuff. be it flags, posters, boxes, laminated papers with information, and the two people in frame just add that sense of life to the picture, and I feel like this is kind of the direction I was going for today. My goal was to just document what Shibamata is like in the 2020s, so maybe in 30 years' time someone can look back at this. After that, I actually went to the shop to look around, and the owner came up to me and started chatting. She explained to me why this place is an attraction and what is up with the statues that I had seen. Apparently, there's a popular film series called Otoko wa Tsurai yo, of which the protagonist, Tora-san, is from Shibamata, and the films have many scenes shot in the city. And so nowadays, it's a popular destination in Tokyo for fans of the films to go visit. It was a lovely and informative chat, and before moving on, I asked whether I may take her portrait. Here's the result, and I like it. It's nowhere near perfect or particularly good, but I just find a lot of joy in documenting the existence of people I meet, and so I appreciate the photograph simply for that. By the way, she's wearing the Tora-san hat and holding up a golden poop sculpture. I don't actually know what's up with the latter. By the way, in case you have a little collection of shots that you like, you should make a portfolio, for which I recommend this channel's partner, Squarespace. If you need a portfolio website, an online shop, a freelancer's booking page, or anything, basically, Squarespace is the place to make it. I personally have been using Squarespace for over 5 years at this point, and I highly recommend it if you need a website. They have a bunch of professionally designed templates to start off from, and with their intuitive drag-and-drop editor, it is easy to customize the design to your liking. Or you can even use their AI tool, which will build you a website based on your description. And they are really all in one. You can register your own domain name with them, and they offer analytics to track the activity on your page. Personally, I think what they do really well, or what I appreciate, is that they give me creative freedom in combination with ease of use. Try it out for yourself. You can head to squarespace.com for a 14-day free trial, and then when you're ready to launch a website, you can go to squarespace.com/Crawford to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. This photo I actually enjoy a lot. I just think it's a funny scene with the woman who was about to stand next to this Tora-san statue for a photo with her dog. This photograph, on the other hand, is very weak in my opinion. It's just the result of my impatience. I saw a cyclist coming around the corner and thought it looked really cool, but then once I was ready with my camera, no one else on a bike entered the frame. So, driven by impatience, I ended up just taking this instead. But I need to learn my lesson here to either keep waiting and practice my patience, or just not take the photo, because this one was kind of a waste. Here are 3 photographs I took of this same scene. It was a scene with a lot of potential. I liked the interaction of the curious shoppers and the wooden curtains, but I wasn't able to get the shot I wanted straight away. Instead, I had to shoot 3 different attempts. Personally, I think the middle one and the right one turned out pretty cool, but I haven't decided yet which I prefer. I had come to a nice shrine here, where there was some action which I tried to document. Of the couple shots I took around here, I think this one turned out pretty okay. I like how the big tree in the centre sort of anchors the composition and balances the shot, and then multiple subjects are spread across the frame, each telling their own little story. The kids, who seem to have found something interesting on the ground, the worker carrying a ladder to work on something that requires a ladder, I suppose, and the two people on the right just having a chat.
Come on, stop, turn the key and cool her off. Push the pause for relief. Prepare.
I'm trying not to repeat myself too often, however I need to sometimes because the following topic appears to be misunderstood in my videos sometimes, so I suppose there's need for clarification. I'm not a particularly good photographer that shoots mostly great photos which I share in my videos. It's quite the opposite, to be honest. I mostly take mediocre photos and I'm very happy if I can get the occasional decent one. These videos is me documenting my practice, my journey, and so what I'm showing you is not only what I consider good, it's all the shots, including the ones that I think are bad or mediocre at best. Because I think there's value in showing you the realistic process, which in my case at least is a lot of practice, which usually yields mediocre results and sometimes a good photograph here and there. I'm just mentioning this to keep this clear. I can only speak from my own experience, and for me, photography is just like this, lots of practice with occasionally remarkable successes.
Set aside every empty spreadsheet. Loosen up on the grind. Simmer down, settle back and mess around. Be the cat in the sun. Someday I will see the whole deal through today. I've got better things to do, okay, to lead a little bit undone.
At this point, the afternoon was slowly coming to an end and I'd been walking around an area that was actually quite pretty, but there wasn't that much that I felt like actually taking a photograph of for a little while. But then I came to a new environment which switched things up a bit.
Undivided moves in circles, trapped like a wave on a tidal pool. Waves upon waves, the horizon in view, but out of reach.
Here are two shots I took in this area. Obviously, what caught me here was how all of a sudden there was a lot of light and so much open space, which creates a strongly different feeling to the little streets I'd come from. However, I'm not too sure whether the photos are actually interesting. I feel like they're alright, but also not particularly interesting. Here, I came across a woman walking her dog and thought it'd be really cool to get a portrait of the two of them on this open field in the golden light. After a brief chat and me explaining to her what I was doing, she agreed, and I was able to take what I think is a beautiful photograph of them.
わあ、めっちゃいいの撮れたかもしれないと思います。
ありがとうございます。
なんかちょうどこっち見てよかった。
撮れました？
うん、そうと思います。すみません、邪魔して。
ありがとうございます。
However, I can't show you because my Pentax is making a fuss again. If you've seen my previous videos, you might remember that my Pentax shutter is unfortunately not in its best shape anymore and it's getting stuck at times. And sadly, it's happened again, exactly here. Here's the negative, and you can see that a couple shots that I thought I had taken weren't actually taken. The negative is just empty because the mirror inside the camera flipped alright, but the actual shutter seemingly got stuck and didn't let any light onto the film. So that's a big shame because I was so looking forward to seeing this shot. I think it would have turned out really cool, but sadly we'll never know.
So much space out of nowhere. And I'm feeling hungry, so let's find a spot to just sit down for a sec. Look at this.
Sky come bearing up before us. We hang on the hem of your gown.
Here's the first shot on the negatives after the shutter sort of got a hang of itself again. You can see it was still half stuck. To be fair, I should mention that I bought this camera at a random shop in a Japanese town. It was a bit dusty, a little dirty, and so the shop owner sold it to me for just 4,000 yen. I only did a brief check whether the shutter actually moved, which it did, so I bought it, and for quite some time it worked just fine. But I suppose I shouldn't be too surprised of issues of this kind considering the condition in which I bought the camera. Anyway, I'm afraid this was the last shoot with this one.
Blue sky come dancing in between us. Take us up, lay us down. Blue sky come, promise not to leave us.
As I continued my walk, I passed by a group of 3 boys who were just hanging out, and it occurred to me that I mostly just photograph middle-aged or elderly people, and I should start documenting the youth too if I get the chance. And so, I approached them.
なんか3人がここに座ってていいなと思って写真撮ってもよろしいですか？
いいです。いいですよ。いいですよ。
なんか3人でありがとうございます。ちょっと邪魔してごめんなさい。ありがとうございます。
This shot turned out really cool in my opinion. I'm so happy that the shutter didn't fail me here. It was an interesting challenge to take a photograph of 3 people instead of just 1, and I think the composition and positioning that I chose worked out pretty well with 2 guys standing and 1 sitting. I'm very happy with this one.
I guess that's kind of it with the sunlight. That was a bit fast. This afternoon just went by really quickly. I don't know what else I can find for ISO 200. Maybe around the station where the city is lit up a bit more. Maybe I can find something there. I have about 10 shots left on this roll. Let's see what else I can find.
At this point, it was getting pretty dark, which of course made things a little tricky for me with ISO 200 film inside my camera. However, as I was walking back towards the station, I came across this shop with some pretty lights still on and one particular lamp that highlighted some drawings of Tora-san. These are the results, and I think they turned out alright. I quite like this one because the drawings of Tora-san add some context to the restaurant and the location of the photograph.
You wanna taste the wine. You wanna feel some real love. Don't wanna be left behind. Did you know you can drink love? But you never drink enough.
It was getting really tricky to shoot at this point with a lack of light. This one, if I remember correctly, was shot at f2.8 and a shutter speed of 1/30th, which was a little too dark, hence the photo turned out pretty dark, but I wasn't confident in hand-holding anything slower in this moment.
You didn't know back then.
At this spot though, I did actually hand-hold a 1/15th exposure, if I remember correctly, and it seems to have worked out pretty well.
Well, playing the tape again. It's such a sorry sound. Oh, the shaking on the wall, just dragging you around, reaching for reset, reaching for reason to.
Here, I shot the same photo I took earlier but in a completely different time of day, which significantly changes the mood of course, and I think this one is actually rather interesting with the various colours of light and the three cyclists waiting for the train to pass. This here is the last photo of the roll, my end of the shoot. It's nothing too special, but not too bad either, I'd say. I like the way this film pictures artificial light, and I think it looks pretty good here.
Easy rider on the highway, station wagon going slow, windows open, you are back.
Anyway, with the last shot of the roll spent, I decided it was enough exploration of Shibamata, and I hopped on the train to go home. It was a lot of fun to expand my mental map of Tokyo and explore yet another place that I hadn't seen before, and it was a nice surprise to learn about the films that made this place a little famous. I hope you enjoyed coming along with me. Before saying goodbye, I'd like to say a massive thank you to the lovely people supporting me in my work on Patreon. Thank you so much to each one of you. If you're interested in Lightroom presets, color grading tutorials, and stuff like that, you can check out my page via the link in the description. And also, I have a print shop in case that is of interest to you. Also, link in the description. With that said, I hope to see you again soon. Until then, goodbye.
Pink azaleas by your driveway.